Hello there, it is Conte with a quick guide on how to find all the star rings in Tropical Coast, and we'll start with level 6. Okay, just kidding, we're starting with level 1, and the first two star rings are ridiculously close to each other. On the first planet, there are a couple of elevated areas on the left and right, and you're going to want to take the one on the left for these rings. Once you get past these three buzz bombers, there's a tree with a booster in front of it that has a spring on it leading to the first star ring. Right after that is a bell on top of one of the geysers, and as usual, you have to hit the bell enough times for it to get a star ring. And each time that you hit the bell until it becomes a star ring, it lands on top of the geysers. The geysers slowly but surely rise up and down, so you'll probably have to wait on some of the geysers to get high enough to reach the bell, but a few seconds will be worth the wait. Also, don't use the boosters on the sides of these geysers, because if you do, you'll skip past the bell. Then you can continue to the second planet, and for the third star ring, you basically use the same steps as before. So you go to the elevated area on the left, again, and then you get past a series of buzz bombers again, only this time you'll see a booster panel leading to a series of trees, which progressively lead to the third star ring after 3 hidden springs. Now the fourth star ring is on the third planet, which you'll recognize by these giant cans. Again, you want to climb on the ledges on the sides, but this time you want to go on the ledge on the right. And when you get far enough, you'll see a star ring lying just in front of a huge hole of spikes. But you don't really have to worry about the spikes because with a little parkour, you can handle them. Then continue until you get to this group of clouds. There are 5 big rows of clouds, and on the 4th row, which is the second to last row before the spring, look closely at the capsule on the far left because in it is a star ring hiding in plain sight. And since it's the last star ring, you can then just finish the level once you get it. Yeah, several times I've been trying to land right on the button of the capsule. In the second level, the first planet doesn't have any star rings, but after the first planet, there's a big platform with 2 routes you can take. If you go to the left, you'll find some boosters leading to a narrow path sticking out. This path has the first star ring, but it also has a higher risk of death. So if you're not feeling safe, I recommend either just walking instead of running, or jumping to your destination so you can get around safer. You can also take a different path on the right using these springs. Once you do, stay on the right until you see a group of 3 trees, because these trees have, in addition to a rocket wisp, a star ring on the tree on the right. Leading off from the platform, you go to another planet with a watermelon. There are 6 totem poles around the juicer where the watermelon is supposed to go, and you can climb up one of these totem poles to get the 3rd star ring. But you don't want to get the watermelon to hit the totem pole with the star ring, or it'll destroy it, and you'll have to bounce up to get it. You may be able to use bouncing to get the star ring, but I haven't really tested it. Once you fly off this planet, you'll go to another platform with a bunch of chickens. In the middle on one of the holes on this platform is a cannon with 4 motobugs surrounding it. It's not obvious, but once you kill the motobugs, the cannon will go down and the 4th star ring will appear. As always, there's a juicer leading off this platform, but don't take it just yet, because you'll miss a path on the left with the last star ring. This path is another danger zone, but with the chicken and the oranges, you can use the homing attack to ensure a safe landing. The problem is that going back isn't going to be quite as easy. Then you can move on and face Master Zik, who, considering his title of Master, is rather pathetic. In the grinding level, there aren't any star rings until the 2D section. In this area, there's a point where the path splits into 2 grind rails. You take the one on the top, and don't miss the switch, please. And from that point, getting the 1st star ring is really straightforward. I guess I'll have to homing attack. Pretty soon, you'll get to a 3D area, and there is a star ring here. As you pass a couple of robotic sea monsters, stay on the right, and you'll find a red rail with a red star ring to match it. I really think the star ring should be on the other path, but apparently Sega wasn't thinking about challenge with this one. But anyway, after this, you can continue to the next 2D section, and again you'll see the path split into 2 grind rails, one on top of the other. And once again, you take the top route. Only this time the platforming's a bit more tricky because you have to jump on a few more grind rails. Not to mention go past a few buzz bombers and some rocket carts. I'm not really sure what those things with the rockets do.
The next star ring is in the 3D section, and this time it is on the alternate route. So when you get close to the green grind rail on the right, then take it. Then you'll have to go from rail to rail, either by jumping or by taking the springs at the end of the rails. You'll eventually circle around and get back to the main rail. But we're not done yet. Just before the end, there's a fan blocking your way, and there's one last star ring on the gray rail on the left. Then, of course, you have to jump to the middle rail and finish up. For level 4, you'll go to a few different planets with the Rocket Wisp, and you'll eventually end up here, where there's several little platforms with moto bugs and a bell. And as usual, if you hit the bell enough times, it'll jump from island to island and eventually turn into a star ring. You'll have to be careful not to fall, but with the moto bugs and the homing attack, it should be easier. The rest of the star rings are in the 2D section. Eventually you'll see one over some wooden planks being shot upward by fish. And obviously you'll have to wait until these fish shoot up the wooden planks so you can jump up and get the star ring. There's nothing tricky about this one, but the next one is a bit more dangerous. It's in the middle of 2 palm trees with monkey robots in them that throw coconuts at you. So you have to parkour up the first tree and time it so that you don't get hit by their coconuts. There's also a little drill robot in the middle, so you have to watch out for him too. And once you get the star ring again, you'll have to parkour up the tree in a way that doesn't get you hit by coconuts. But with a bit of platforming skills, it shouldn't be a problem. After this, you'll find some more fish, only this time they're tilting wooden planks side to side. Now near the loop-de-loop with the star ring, there's an octopus that jumps up and tries to fire at you. When this octopus gets near the height of its jump, you could use the homing attack a couple of times and get the star ring on the loop-de-loop. Lastly, you'll need to get to the point where there's water on top of you, and there's a bunch of spike balls in said water. You'll also see a fish that makes waves and makes the mace balls bob up and down. So when you get the last star ring, you should wait until the mace balls are all the way up. But it shouldn't be that hard considering you can just get the star ring before the waves get there. Then, of course, it's time to face Master Zik again and end the level.
You know, if he had wanted to attack me, he could have just attacked me right there and then. I think he would have the skills, but... oh well.
And lastly, once you get all the star rings in Tropical Coast, this is the reward.